Hey everyone! So a while ago I did a little sketch demonstrating the asoko do Japanese grammar rules. It is up there, a link to that sketch. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's only a minute long. And then come back here and watch this video. Anyway, this video I'd like to really break down. As I said, that other video was like a minute long. It's more meant to be comedy than educational. So in this video I really wanted to just break down the grammar rules of Japanese that is known as asoko do, those words, the asoko do words, and explain what the grammar rule is in detail. Derpy derp, I emailed myself some notes. I'm gonna look at them on my phone. So first I'm going to explain what the prefixes of asoko and do mean. We're gonna start with ko. So ko is in reference to the speaker. So if I am speaking to you and I say a word in that series that begins with a prefix ko, I am referring to myself. I'm referring to something that I'm holding, something that I am seeing, or something that is related to me. If I am speaking to you and I use so as a prefix for one of those words, I am talking about you. I'm talking about something that belongs to you, something that you are holding, something related to you. If I begin my word with a, then I am referring to something that is away from you or me, away from the person that I am talking to. It is out there somewhere, either physically, like maybe you and I are sitting next to each other on a couch, and then I'm pointing at a bookshelf and it's like over there, or it's something more abstract, like world peace. I don't know, just something that's not close to me. It's not close to you, the person that I am speaking to, but it is elsewhere. That is a. And then do, the prefix do, is basically the question mark version of whatever we're saying. So that one doesn't make as much sense unless I give actual concrete examples. So let's get to some examples. So if you did see the donut sketch of asoko do explained with donuts, you might remember kore, the words kore, sore, are, and dore. So kore means this, but because it begins with ko, as you might remember, it means this thing related to me. So kore, this thing that I'm holding, kore wa keitai. Keitai is the Japanese word for cell phone. Keitai denwa is the long version of that word. But kore wa keitai, this thing that I'm holding, because I used ko as the prefix, is a cell phone. If you are holding the cell phone, here, grab it. Now you're holding it. It's a sore wa keitai. That means that thing that you are holding is a cell phone. If the cell phone is sitting on top of the bookcase over there and you and I are sitting together, it's not near either of us, I say, are wa keitai. That thing over there is a cell phone. And then dore, so kore, sore, are means like this or that, basically. This thing that's close to me, or that thing that's close to you, or that thing that's far away. Dore means which, because it's like the question mark version of this or that. It's like we don't know. Like we don't know which thing we're talking about is the cell phone. So I might have like an amigurumi in one hand, selling these in my Etsy shop and eBay, by the way. Check out the links in the video description below. But anyway, I might have an amigurumi in one hand and a keitai denwa cell phone in the other hand. And I'd be like, dore wa keitai? Like which one of these is a keitai? I don't know which one. So I'm going to use dore. So do is for whenever you don't know. So that is kore, sore, are, and dore. And then another set of words that I covered in the sketch is kono, sono, ano, and dono. So the difference between kore and kono, they both mean this. All right, so in English, there kind of is no distinction between those two words. It still means this, that, and which. However, kore, sore, are, and dore is this as a noun. So this noun, this thing, is a phone, I would say. However, kono means this phone. Kono is more like an adjective for the phone. This phone that I am holding. So this, in this case, is an adjective. It's a little confusing explaining it that way. So if I'm using it in a sentence, I'd be like, kono keitai wa yasumono. This phone is cheap. It is. It was actually, yeah, it was cheap. It's like kono keitai wa yasumono. This phone is cheap. I wouldn't say kore keitai wa yasumono. It would mean this thing, phone, is cheap. So kore means more this thing, and then kono just means this. So kono keitai, this phone that I am holding. If I give you the phone, now you have it, take it. It's sono keitai, that phone that you are holding, the listener of what I'm saying is holding. Sono keitai. If the keitai is sitting on the bookshelf over there, it's ano keitai. Or maybe it's in a shop window and like, ano keitai hoshii. It's like, oh, I really want that keitai. I really want that cell phone. And then dono keitai. So like, let's say that there's this keitai and then there's another keitai. And like I'm holding them both and my friend's with me and she's like, dono keitai ga ichiban suki nano? It'd be like, which keitai, which cell phone is your favorite? So again, like the do means it's a question mark. We don't know this one, like we don't know which of the two it is. So there's a big question mark. So dono keitai. So that is kono sono ano dono explained. So one thing, I don't think I covered this in the donut sketch. I only covered 4 words that use the asoko prefixes. So here's another set of words. Konna, sonna, anna, and donna. Again, notice the theme that they're beginning with ko, so, a, or do. So konna means this kind of. Sonna means that kind of, associated with you. Anna means that kind of thing that's away from you or me, or it's abstract maybe. And then donna means which kind of or what kind of. Very frequently, you will hear anna, sonna, konna, donna combined with koto. So donna koto, sonna koto, konna koto, anna koto. And if you've watched my video for Koto Explained, it was a video sponsored by Andrew Soto. Koto is a thing, but it's more like a concept thing. It's not necessarily like a tangible thing that you're holding. So konna koto is like this sort of thing. Sonna koto is that sort of thing associated with you. And then anna koto is like that sort of thing, abstract, away from us. And then donna koto is like, it's usually like donna koto ga atte mo. It's like no matter what thing. Or like donna koto mo suki. It's like I like any kind of thing. It's sort of like any kind of, what kind of. It's again, it's vague. It's question marky. We don't really know which specific thing we're talking about. So, konna keitai, that actually, if I just say konna keitai, that on its own, it kind of means like this damn phone. So in a more positive sense, it'd be like, konna suteki na hi mita koto nai yo. It's like, I've never seen a beautiful day such as this. This kind of day, konna suteki na hi, this kind of beautiful day. A beautiful day such as this. Sonna kamigata. Like that kind of hairstyle that you're sporting. Niawanai yo, like that doesn't suit you, which is incidentally kind of a rude thing to say in Japanese. You'd be like, sonna kamigata wa chotto. You'd be kind of like, oh, I don't know about that hairstyle on you. It's kind of ... That's the way you'd actually say that hairstyle doesn't look good on you. You wouldn't just be like, sonna kamigata niawanai yo. That's the really rude way of saying it. But yeah, like that kind of thing associated with you. Anna koto, like that sort of thing.
Okay, so Sarah from the future speaking. Hi. Anyway, I gave a really bad example in the original video footage that I recorded, so I'm inserting this right here for anna koto. So let's say that I am watching a guy and he's like wasting his time waiting. He's at a bus stop and he's like talking to people and not paying attention to the bus coming, and then as a result he misses the bus. And like I'm observing, like I'm with a friend across the street and I'm observing that guy at the bus stop like really like causing a ruckus and not paying attention to the bus, and as a result he's going to miss the bus. And I say, kare wa anna koto shiteiru bai janai. What I'm saying there is, oh, this is not the time or place for him to be doing that sort of thing, right? So I'm talking about this third party with you. We're talking about kare, this guy that's like super far away from us. So it would be anna koto, that sort of thing that he is doing. So that's my example for anna.
And then donna, again, I mentioned earlier, it's kind of, Donna it kind of means less on its own. It's a little harder to have like a blanket translation for it. Like, this is what it always means. But like, donna toki demo means anytime. Toki is time. And then demo is sort of like even. So even no matter what kind of time. So any kind of time, anytime. Donna toki demo. Donna gakko ni ikitai no would mean like, what kind of school would you like to go to? Donna gakko, what kind of school? So you can see kind of how donna is used in this question marking sort of way. So that's konna, sonna, anna, donna. Here's another set of words that I did not cover in my donut sketch, so I'll go over them now. It's ko, so, a, and do. You might think, oh, that's just the title of this video, asoko, do. But it is elongated. If you'll see them printed beside my face, it is ko with an extension, either as an u or a horizontal line. So, long vowel, a, long vowel, and do, long vowel. All right, so ko means like this or this way. Again, that I, the speaker, am doing. So if I'm like, one very common way that ko is used is if I'm either asking for confirmation on how to do something or I'm showing someone how to do something. So I might be like, I'd be like, koyatte mitsami o suru, like this is how you braid hair. You do it like this, like how I'm doing it. Or if you're showing me how to cut onions or something and I have my onion next to you and I'm kind of chopping and I'm asking for confirmation, I'd be like, ko? Like, is this the way you do it? Like this? The way that I am doing it? So, very common expression using so is like, itsumo so yatte. Like, you always do that. You always, in that way, like, itsumo so yatte, atashi no waruguchi o suru. Like, you're always like that, bad-mouthing me. Or, itsumo so yatte, watashi ni yuki o kureru. Like, I'm trying to think of like a more positive way of using that. It's like, you always do that thing the way you do it to give me courage. That's another way that you use so yatte. But yeah, so means like that way that you are doing the thing, or like you like the way that you're doing it. So this confused me when I was reading manga at first, like after I'd only been learning Japanese for a year, because often comes up in the similar contents of so. It's like, yatte, itta. Like, a character in a manga would be something like, kare wa itta kedo chigau ki ga suru. And that means like, oh, he might have said that thing that he said, but I don't think that's what he meant. I think it's different. That's kind of what that means. So yatte or itta. A lot of people mistranslate that as like, he said itta. It doesn't actually mean he said it means he said the thing in that way. And we're talking about kare. We're talking about this other person. Like, you and I are talking about kare, this like person that is not associated directly with either one of us. If it's you, I'd be like, anta wa so itte, like you say like that. But if it's kare wa, like this other person that's apart from us, it'd be kare wa itte, kare wa itta kedo. Like he might have said that, or he might have said that way, but if it's he said it would be to itta or te itta. It wouldn't just be itta. Itta is he said the thing in that way. Yeah, so that's And again, it can be kind of confusing because more often than not, if you see written down in manga or something, it's a character actually just saying like they're actually just sighing or something. They're not using a grammar rule. But if it's like itta, it means he said it in that way, not just he said do is extremely common, and you've heard it a zillion times. A very common way of using do is doshite, which is usually translated as why or how. But what it really means is like sort of how do, doshite. So how do is sort of like why, how. Doyatte, that means like how do you do this thing? So again, the do is a question marker. So that's ko, so, and do with the vowels elongated. So I did cover this in the donut sketch, but there's also Koko, soko, asoko, and doko. So Koko means here. or this place that is close to me, the speaker. Koko. Soko means there, but where you, the listener, are. Asoko means over there, away from either of us. And then doko means where, because the question marky version of there would be where. So that one's pretty straightforward. Koko, soko, asoko, and doko. Okay, I think I covered this in the donut sketch, but there's kochi and kochira. Kochira is basically just the politer version of kochi, so it's the same word. So kochira, sochira, achira, and dochira. And that is very, very similar to koko, soko, asoko, and doko. It's also noting a location of something. So kochira would be here with me, with the speaker. Sochira would be there with you, the listener. Achira is like over there, away from both of us. And then dochira is like where. But there's more, it's more personalized than koko, soko, asoko, and doko. Kochi or kochira, it can also just mean me. It'd be like kochi no keitai, like this phone, but it really means my phone. Sochi no keitai would be like your phone. Achi no keitai would be like the cell phone that's over there. And then dochi no keitai, it's like, well, which person does this cell phone belong to? It's like, kono keitai wa dochira-sama no? It's like, which person owns this cell phone? That would be more like dochira, dochi. So yeah, kochira, sochira, achira, dochira, very similar to koko, soko, asoko, and doko. It's just that it's a little more personal. It can really be a replacement for me, you, over there, them, and then who or whom. And then lastly, there's one that I did not go over again in the donut sketch, but koitsu, soitsu, aitsu, and doitsu. So if you've seen subtitled anime, you might have seen somebody say Koitsu, and it's subtitled as son of a bitch, or son of a ... or aitsu. You might have very frequently noticed somebody call somebody else aitsu when they're talking about somebody, and sometimes it's translated as like that bastard. But anyway, it's in references to people, basically. It's like a pronoun, actually. So koitsu is associated with the speaker again, soitsu is associated with the listener, aitsu is associated with neither of us, and then doitsu is like who. It's like we don't know. So aitsu is a rough, non-polite, rude usually, gender-neutral singular pronoun. Isn't that kind of cool that Japanese has a gender-neutral singular pronoun, except that it's kind of rude, but you know, they have one. Well, achira would be sort of like a gender-neutral singular pronoun. But anyway, aitsu. Yeah, that means that person or they or them, a gender neutral pronoun. Soitsu would be you, listener. But again, it's often, koitsu and soitsu is usually you combine it with no, like soitsu no keitai, like you listeners, keitai, cell phone. You might have heard the expression doitsu mo koitsu mo. So doitsu is like which person. But then doitsu mo koitsu mo is sort of like, God, I'm surrounded by idiots. So yeah, usually you're really only going to hear like koitsu or aitsu or all those things used more like as insults. Like you might go koitsu. It really doesn't mean like this person. It means like damn you or son of a. Also you probably heard kono yaro or ano yaro. Again, that is often translated as son of a bitch or bastard, but it really means like this cad related to the speaker, or ano yaro, that cad not related to the speaker or the listener. It's one of those situations where the literal translation just doesn't really make sense and you have to go with what it actually means. So koitsu is like damn you, and soitsu is just kind of a rude way of saying like your thing, and then aitsu, rude-ish way of gender-neutral pronouncing someone, and then doitsu is like which, and it's kind of rude and rough. But it still follows the grammar rules of asoko and do. So I hope that shed a little more light on what this whole asoko do thing is. It's come up so many times whenever I've talked about grammar or broken down episodes of Sailor Moon or song lyrics, I'll always come up to on some words and I'll be like, God, I really need to do a video about asoko and do, explaining just the very basic what that grammar rule is. So that was that. So if you see a set of words that begin with ko or a or so or do, it might fall into this grammar rule. Just because a word begins with ko, it does not mean that it always has something to do with, me. Like the word kokoro, it means heart or soul, but it does not mean like my heart or soul. There's not kokoro, sokoro, akoro, and dokoro. It's like not every word that begins with asoko or do follows these grammar rules, but there is a handful of words that do follow this grammar rule. I am running out of time and I have to go do a comedy sports show, so I'll see you guys on Friday.